Hey, my friends, this is Mrs. Hazelwood. I'm going to go over the first lesson today, the 1.1. It's solving simple equations. So the vocabulary that you need to know is on the side over here. One of the vocabulary words we looked at today was expression. So an expression is just a mathematical statement that doesn't have an equal sign. So we could say 2x plus 3. That would be an expression. So what you're going to learn today is you're going to learn solve linear equations with addition and subtraction. You're going to learn also to solve linear equations using multiplication and division, and use linear equations to solve real life problems. So our next vocabulary word is equation. So we're going to solve, the first one we're going to look at is solving equations by adding or subtracting. So an equation is a statement that two expressions are equal. A linear equation in one variable is an equation that can be written in the form of ax plus by equals 0. So you can see that the variable is in there, x, and then we have our a and b. A and b are constants. They're just numbers. And then a cannot equal 0, because if a equals 0 here, that's just going to get rid of the variable, and we want to keep the variable. So, all right. So a solution of an equation. So here I have the solution of an equation is a value that makes the equation true. So we solve down, we have x is equal to 2. That means it's the 2 that makes both sides true. Inverse operation, and you have worked with inverse operation before, it's just two operations that undo each other. So they have in here addition and subtraction. I put that in the notes, but also multiplication, division. And then there's one more, and it is squaring and square root. So those, and there's probably more. There's more as you get up into higher level math. When you perform the same inverse operation on each side of the equation, you produce an equivalent equation. So an equivalent equation are equations that have the same solutions. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. So we're going to look at, we've already looked at properties in the warm-up today. I had you look at that, and I gave you that paper that you could look up those properties that you've been taught before. So I'm going to teach you a property that's called addition property of equality is what I'm going to teach you. And then in example 1, we're also going to look at the subtraction property of equality. So the addition property of equality just says if two expressions are equal to each other and you add the same value to both sides of the equations will remain equal. So here it is in algebra. So I know that A and B are equal. I add C to both sides, therefore they're still equal. So, and then let's just do a little check over here. So I know I need to solve for x here. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And I know that I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So I know a positive 3 is equal to a positive 3. And now this just simplifies down to 0. So all I have left is x is equal to a negative 2. So I want to check my solution. So I'm going to take and I'm going to substitute my solution here back into where that x is. So when I do that, I'm going to have a negative 2. So that's where my x is. And then I know I have a negative 3 as well. So what I know here is I'm going to add those two together because the signs are the same. So, and that's equal to a negative 5. So when I add the 3 and the 2 together, they're both negative. So therefore, my solution is a negative 5. So, and that's addition property of equality. The next one that we're going to look at is a subtraction property of equality. At any time as I'm teaching this, if you need to pause the video, please do so. Make sure you're taking notes and just following along. Okay, so subtraction property of equality. So this kind of gives it away what we're going to do here. We're going to subtract. So subtraction property of equality just says subtract the same number from each side of an equation, produces an equivalent equation. This means to balancing an equation by using the same mathematical operation on both sides. So here on my example, if A is equal to B, and then I can say A minus C is also going to be equal to B minus C. So I'm looking over here at my operation. I can see that I have a negative 3. I'm sorry, getting excited here. I see that I have a positive 3. So I want to move that to the other side because I want to isolate my n. I want to get that n by itself. So I'm going to do my inverse operation. So my subtraction property of equality. So that just, this makes this 0, it simplifies down. So now I have n is equal to a negative 10. So I want to just check it. So I'm going to take this n right here, negative 10, and I'm going to just substitute it right back in to check it. So here I have a negative 10 plus 3, and that is equal to a negative 7. So you can see I didn't put this in parentheses because I'm adding them together. All right. So I know 10 minus 3 is 7, but my 10 is bigger. So that's going to make my 7 negative. So therefore, this checks. So that's subtraction property of equality. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of examples here, and then I'm going to stop this video, and then I'm going to make another video when I start example 2. Okay, so I'm looking at subtraction property of equality here and addition property of equality. So it says solve the equation, justify each step, and that means to write down why you did that, and then check your solution. So I'm going to do number 1. So I'm looking at it, and I have a negative 4. So, and I want to get G, so I want to isolate this G right here is what I want to do. So I'm going to isolate G. So I need to get rid of the 4. In order to get that by itself, I'm going to add 4. So I know that I need to add 4 to both sides. Because I started off with a negative 4. So the inverse of a negative 4 is a positive 4. So that's why I added 4 to both sides. So the reason that I'm doing this is the addition property of equality. We're going to just make some abbreviations there. So G then is equal to 7. So my last step here was just simplifying. Simplify. All right, so it said to check it. So I'm just going to take that 7 and I'm going to just substitute it back in there. So 7 minus 4 is equal to 3. So 7 minus 4 is 3, is equal to 3. This is true, so it checks. Okay, if you want to pause the video and try number 2, you can do that. So my question to you is, which property am I going to use? And so I'm looking at how I'm going to get rid of the number next to the variable, and I can see here that that number next to the variable is a positive 2. So therefore, the inverse operation okay, so the inverse operation is to subtract 2. So the inverse operation is I'm going to subtract 2. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So minus 2, minus 2. So I know this is a subtraction property of equality. We're going to just abbreviate that. So I have x is equal to 3. So now we need to just check to make sure our answer is correct. So we're going to take that 3 and we're going to just substitute it right back into my equation is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take my 3 and I'm going to put it right back in there. So 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. So this is 3 plus 2 is 5 is equal to 5. So that's true. So it checks. All right, let's do another one. So once again, pause the video and go ahead and complete number 3. All right, so again, we have to figure out inverse operation. So I know the inverse of a positive 4. Of a positive 4 is a negative 4. So because I want to isolate this D is what I want to do. I want to get that by itself. So minus 4, minus 4. So what we did there to do that, we did the subtraction property of equality. Okay, because we subtracted 4 from both sides is what we did. So now we have D is equal to a negative 6. So now I'm just going to substitute negative 6 back in. So just to check it, negative 6 plus 4 is equal to negative 2. So negative 6 is the bigger number, but I know the signs are different, so I need to subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2, and so 6 is larger, so it becomes a negative. Therefore, it checks. Okay, let's do the last one, and then I'm going to stop the video. Okay, so once again, I need to isolate the x. So what I'm looking at is this number right here, and I need to do the inverse operation. So therefore, the inverse of positive 7 is a negative 7. So therefore, I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Minus 7 is equal to minus 7. So now x is equal to a negative 3. So I'm just simplifying. Oh, I forgot to write my property. So I use subtraction property. Of equality. And over here I simplified as well. Didn't write that, and I didn't write it up here either. So I'm just justifying my steps. So now I'm just going to check it. So I'm going to take that negative 3 and I'm going to substitute it back in. So negative 3 plus 7 is equal to 4. And do you notice how I keep all my equal signs lined up? I try to keep them lined up just to make it easier and more organized. So again, the signs are opposite. And because of commutative property, I can switch these around. And that's what I had you look at in the warm-up today. So I know, or yesterday, 7 minus 3 is 4, is equal to 4. So that checks. All right, so I'm going to make another video to teach the next section.